push. Believe that. Yeah, I'm steady chasing paper, praying for them better days. I work my 9 to 5, yet still take time to pay my...
All right, hi guys, welcome back to our channel. This is the second episode, and we found a name. We're gonna call this the value of conversation, because what we're trying to do is show that. And so we're the embodiment of that statement. So, all right, I hope you guys don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope you enjoy our content. So today we wanted to discuss a couple of things that we feel that just need to be discussed. And we wanted to give you guys our opinion and show you the multitudes of different opinions out there in the world, and understanding that you can have a conversation and dialogue with other people and not have an aggressive reaction. A conversation is a conversation. Everybody has their own opinion. And, you know, I just wanted to see you vibe with me and my friends. So that's the most important. And so tonight we have, once again, Greg's here tonight. We have Rocco, and then of course, my partner down here below, and my sister, Saida.
Oh, I got an introduction this time. Thanks.
Whatever. See, she always got something to say. Yeah, so we're just chilling. I know Greg had some things that he wanted to talk about tonight. So, you know what? I'm going to roll the floor over to the man.
All right, thanks. It's not more of a topic, but more of a point of view. I know some of you guys viewers are not from Hawaii, so I just kind of wanted to bring a perspective of being Asian American, growing up in Hawaii versus the mainland. I have a lot of friends, and even I watch a lot of YouTube as well. So I know a lot of people, Asian American people who have channels, and they grew up getting bullied in school because, you know, in the mainland it's a little bit different. Like, you know, being Asian American, African American, Latino, you know, you're the minority there. But I think I was really blessed growing up in Hawaii, because here, being Asian American, you are the majority. I think like Saida and Simone can vouch for that, because I want to clarify Asian American, what I mean by that in Hawaii. So as a brief history lesson to those of you who aren't from Hawaii, the Asian culture here started when we had the sugar plantation. So I think back in the 1850s, I think all the way back then, the sugar industry was growing. So they needed a whole bunch of workers to, you know, man the fields, work in the sugar plantations. And so they brought in people from China, Korea, Japan, Okinawa, Puerto Rico. I believe there was even people from Portugal. So we have a lot of Portuguese people here. So we had a whole bunch of those immigrants come to Hawaii. And so one good thing about growing up in Hawaii is that we had that real mix of culture growing up here. So it's a blessing, but still I feel there's some cons to that as well too. But I'll touch on that a little bit later, get everybody's opinion on this. But so from my perspective, growing up here, being Asian American, growing up as the majority, which I think a lot of people equate, you know, to the mainland, you know, being white, I guess would be, you know, or Caucasian would be the majority there, right? So I was blessed to grow up being the majority here. So I think I got to enjoy the comforts, you know, and I was blessed to have friends of different ethnicities, you know. Otherwise, I think I might have had that kind of entitled mentality, right? You know, thinking that, you know, we're the majority here, we're better than you. So I think I was blessed growing up to have, you know, a mix of friends, you know, from different cultures. So that kind of put things into perspective a little bit. So I think the entitlement kind of disappears with that as well. I don't know if anybody wants to add in anything, like Simone guys growing up here.
I think I could totally understand you having that point of view. It makes sense. And lucky it was that you did have people in your life that kind of gave you a different view of different cultures, different lives. Like it's that brings value to your life and how you think. So I totally get that. And then your parents are pretty cool.
Yeah.
So they're pretty they're pretty open people. So I think you already had a really good chance as far as being a good person before like other friends. But that's just my personal opinion.
And my mom
yeah.
was Simone.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like when you have good parents, it really brings value to your life, your foundation as a human being, you know? But I do understand that. And like I guess it's the total opposite for us because we're the minority. Like
Still the
I
minority.
went to school where, that I'm like the only Black kid, and I'm a kid and I'm raised here. And like, so the only Black people that I was around was my sister, my brother, you know, my family, my mother, my father. So it's just very interesting to see the other side. But I never felt that I was alone. I was the
minority
because I didn't care.
I think in my class we had, I think, three Black kids, but one was like half, you know what I mean? So like the person like who got like singled out the most, surprisingly, was the person who wasn't even like full African American. Like they got picked on the most out of everybody.
Yeah, he probably portrayed the most stereotypical Black personality.
He was the coolest person too, on top of all of that. Like, you know what I mean? Like
exactly, though. That's my point. It was the stereotypical version of the Black person that gave them that, oh, I'm going to treat them Black. You know what I mean? It was that view. It was what they thought in their head just because he's expressive. And that's naturally we are. And I think that's a lot of the divide is, but I never really felt like I was alone, and maybe you can expound on what you feel about that.
What, like being the only Black kid around?
Yeah.
I don't know. No one ever made it. Didn't like I noticed it, but it didn't feel like I wasn't like, no, that's the only Black girl. I guess it kind of made me someone that everyone wanted to gravitate towards because I was the only one. Yeah. Even though I definitely was pushing off "don't talk to me" vibes, but I think it didn't matter. They still wanted it, and then I think some people, I guess because of, I don't know, people don't think I'm just Black.
Yeah, I think that too.
So I get that, and they're like, oh, like
we're mixed.
Like, what are you?
Polynesian.
Which I really don't like.
Yeah.
Why does it matter?
Well,
I don't care,
and I know it's because I'm lighter toned.
Yeah.
So then automatically everyone's like, oh, you're mixed. So they want to know what you're mixed with. And I'm like, it's not. I'm
like, then leave me alone.
Yeah. Like,
why are you asking that question? I didn't ask you that. I don't care.
I don't care which kind of Asian you are. Like, you're right. It's cool. You are who you are. It's cool. Why do I have to clarify? Like, I don't like that. That
would turn me off.
But I know it wasn't coming from a negative place.
Yes.
Because
they don't know.
Because here, that's how it is here. You don't get the negative vibe all the time when people are like questioning your Blackness.
Yeah.
They're more they just want to know.
They want to know.
They're genuinely just like, oh, like, you know. And then
that's
tell them, they're like, oh, that's cool.
But they don't do that normally until once they get comfortable with you, you know, to a certain extent.
But they've always
feel
been
like they can ask you those type of things.
I've gotten that like front. I guess the vibe I give off is like, you can just come talk to me.
Yeah.
Like, you either think I'm real intimidating, so you won't talk to me, or they're just like, oh my God, yes, who are you? Let me talk to you.
I want to know you. And I'm like,
so they're just right off the bat, like just saying it. And I guess my reaction is I never take any of it negative. So then I guess it just was okay.
Well, yeah, I don't find it negative, but at some point, like as an adult, if you're asking me these questions,
I still like the implication that I have to be something more than what I am.
What I am.
Like, you don't know, so I know
I have two interjections.
All right.
There's two things that you guys were just talking about, I feel. One of them was about being perhaps the only Black person among a bunch of white people or Asian people kind of thing. And coming to that realization that you're different than everybody else to a certain extent, or people are treating you different. And it made me think of that like artwork or meme where you have that little Black girl in front of a sea of in a toy store of white dolls and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And where does that become something where perhaps it impacts you upon seeing that as a realization, or it brings you back to the first time that you made that realization in your own life? And then number 2.
Wait, can we just answer that first?
Yeah,
Before you
for
start
sure.
your own thought?
I don't.
So I was.
I think I know.
My father told me.
Have you guys
all
both
the
seen
time
what I'm
that I
talking
was
about,
a
though?
queen. So I've never thought of myself as less.
No,
Like,
he just
I
means
mean,
like
I've never
did that
had-
ever
No, I
just being
understand.
the only one. Like, when did you realize? Like,
I don't think
I'm
I've
not-
ever felt that way.
I think it's coming from here.
You know what I'm saying?
I think it's the being here vibe. Is like you don't get that feeling of like
we weren't
I'm
That's
the
more of a
only
mainland thing?
one. It's just like there's nothing of me really here. Like we knew, like we're in Hawaii.
but we're like we're
This is
educated.
not like yeah.
You know, we're
not-
educated by.
but
the
if
people
I mean, would that be an
interject on that,
exception
though?
to the idea then?
No, because like that's what I can speak on, like the difference between the mainland and on as far as on the black side, like how we're treated, it's a difference. It's a huge difference, even though this is a part of the American states, we're part of America, but it's like the reach, and it's the fact that you can see it,
So mainland
like-
versus Hawaii, Chris.
right.
Yeah, I want to get your perspective. When you first moved here, did anything stand out versus like when you first got to Hawaii? Like, was there like things that you noticed?
Yeah, of course. I mean, like, it's the fact that there's you can understand what the definition of aloha is once you get here.
Yeah.
Like that. It's like, but you can't find that everywhere. Because it's like, but aloha is the spirit of this land. You know what I mean? It's the spirit of these people. And that's something that's still, despite everything that these people that have gone, that they've gone through, they still have that. But that's what we don't have, because we were snatched from that our root and this planet. Different story and not related, but it's that right there, the aloha. That's what I felt it. That's why I'm here. Because it's like
push for it.
Yeah, but it's like it's amazing because like I've been around the world. I haven't been many places, but in a few places that I have been, it's very rare that I've seen just the unison in people. You know what I mean? It's like just it goes past the government. I mean, so it's.
Can we each define aloha?
Oh wow.
That's-
Ooh, Rocco getting deep in this.
Shit.
Well, and what Chris is making me think about right now is like aloha, like on its base, in a certain extent, is just a love for community. It's about community and taking care of one another. And what he was saying as far as how serious Hawaii takes that, and I think that's a very valid point. It still exists on the mainland under different names, like Midwest hospitality is what I was thinking about.
Yeah, Southern hospitality.
Yeah.
And yeah, you get
But
it.
if you guys want to expound upon aloha a little bit, like what you feel.
No, I
being
agree
in
with that
Hawaii,
100%.
knowing Hawaii.
Yeah, because I think
Yeah.
I feel like it's just like a calm. There's like a calm here that when I went to the mainland, it doesn't feel like
You're unsettled.
it feels.
You
I don't
know?
want to say harsh because it's not everywhere. It's hard. It just the vibe. I guess I feel vibes. Like the vibe of the mainland
Tension.
just feels like
Certain
it's up
places,
here, and I
not
feel like
everywhere.
when you get to Hawaii, it's like wow, look at everyone, look at all these different people, and then it just feels welcoming and like.
the funny thing is, I was talking
But
to
I think
Rocco
that's just
about
because it's home to us. I think
No.
everyone's home.
No,
has
because
that
I've
feeling.
heard that from different people
Mhm.
who've been here, who came from the mainland, been here, and then went back to the mainland. I'm like, man, like
Yeah.
it's just it's a vibe. It's a totally
It is.
different
It's a
vibe.
whole vibe. Your energy is
But
different.
because
We're
I'm from
different.
here, when I go to the mainland, it's just not it for me. Like the whole vibe, how
Did you
people
just give it a
are,
vibe?
it's
There's
just
no other words you can use to describe it.
No, I'll say it's more welcoming here. Oh, well,
Yeah.
this doesn't make sense. So I was gonna expand on that too. So I don't know if this does leak into races, racism.
Mhm.
But like, so I was talking to Rocco about this too. So maybe with me being Asian American going to the mainland, what I found was like when I lived in California and Las Vegas, people there sometimes have more aloha, right? Aloha spirit than Hawaii people do. Like I feel like, you know, being here, yes, we are welcoming and accepting to a certain point. But in the mainland, I feel like, you know, when I've gone out to bars, people just be like, hey, come here, have a drink with us, you know, whatever. I don't see a lot of that happening here in Hawaii anymore, at least. You know, if you go out to the
Mhm.
bar, you
Things
hardly-
have changed.
right?
Things have changed from when we were younger till now. I do
Yeah.
understand that. I think that when we say that it's a vibe and it's here, it's an energy that I think we have, like internally ourselves. Like it's a natural just energy with the earth, with your surroundings. Like we stop and we look at the flowers and the trees and sit outside and feel the breeze, and not in a rush, not always in a rush. We can relax. We know how to
Better
relax.
rooted here.
Yes, and we understand that everybody has the right to their own opinion. Some people you might come across or you run across, they might not be the best people, but that doesn't mean that you give that back in return. That's the worst thing that you can do. You should see them as someone that you can help. You can provide a little bit of something in that moment. That's aloha.
I think some of the military and tourism expansion on the islands has rotted some of those roots and has caused a certain division with those that were like raised here under a Hawaiian or Polynesian spirit versus those they don't see or they see as haoles, you know, outsiders.
But that's exactly what we should be capable of seeing it, but that doesn't mean that we give it back. They're like, I understand what you're saying and it makes perfect sense. These people are coming here. What we should be doing is showing them exactly what it's supposed to be like on a daily basis. That's our
Yes
job.
and no.
From people who they do believe in aloha, that
But
do
you should
embrace
embrace
that.
to teach people how
You're
to
not
be,
teaching them, but that doesn't mean respond with, you can walk away. You don't have to
Yeah,
even
but
engage.
sometimes you can't. Sometimes there's stuff that people say in those situations is a lot that you can't just walk off and be like, I'm gonna just let
Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you
The
ready?
haole.
Where does Aloha stand in the age of COVID and the coronavirus?
It's still here. I mean,
it's here, but I think she's struggling.
Yeah.
I think that's
she's
everywhere.
struggling real hard.
I think people are doing their best, and I think some people, you have to understand that some people have underlying conditions and can't be in the house. Like the fact that they were in the house that long probably put them in deep depression.
Yeah.
So you have to take into consideration those things. Like
I understand those people, but that's people that
are
just hyped for no reason.
No, and I get it. That's fine. But there's a multitude of people out there, so it's hard to have an opinion on certain things. Not that
somebody once argued
people
to
like
me.
when they got free, they're just like, oh my God, I'm free. Like mentally, some people can't not be around other people because it puts them in a state of depression so bad that they're thinking about killing themselves or whatever. And so they're just out running free and not giving a flip because how bad they were feeling at the time. Not that it's an excuse, but it's just another reason or possibility that
she's struggling.
Yeah,
yeah,
that she's struggling. Aloha's struggling right now because
the economy's struggling. So
I can only put out what I give. I can't be responsible for anyone else.
Exactly.
So somebody once argued to me.
I still have it every day.
Somebody once argued to me that, like, as far as this idea of aloha and a lot of tourists or foreigners coming and like expecting aloha from the locals or whatever, that there's just certain ideas, like how can you expect aloha if you're not giving aloha?
Exactly.
So how can people then come here and expect that kind of treatment without giving that treatment to others as well?
Well,
and it
but they
comes
don't
with a certain
know what that
understanding of what
means.
aloha is.
Yes,
but it's really just
man, it's
but
just
you have to
respect. I
understand
mean, that's
that they do not. You're expecting someone to give you something that they don't know of yet.
exactly.
So like we can't have that conversation because these people are coming here. They're not used to anything that's happening around
It's
you.
foreign. It's
Like
foreign.
this does not happen here. This does not happen in mainland. How we talk, saying hi on the streets, people will be like, "Who the f are you talking to?"
Yeah, but
you know what I mean? Like there are
but
certain
I've done it.
wait. But you're saying we should
I'm in
have
Chicago,
to
I've
show
done
them that the only thing
No.
that's being a nice human being. Just because
I was about to
someone
say, it doesn't
smiled
matter
and
Hawaii
waved at
or
you,
anywhere.
If you've
means
never
that
seen
because
it
you've never
before,
seen
it's hard.
Aloha, you can just be like, nah, what you looking at me for?
No.
Like,
Aloha has many
Oh, you
different
can't.
meanings.
Yeah.
you can't. That's crazy.
So what
That's
I
not
was
what I'm
But, I
trying
mean,
to say.
Hawaii
That-
takes it way more serious.
Of
It
course,
does.
as they should. I mean, you know, this
Oh,
is
I
the
know.
birth
I've
of
waved at
That's
people in the
sometimes.
mainland because you know that I'm born and raised. I'm just like, hey, and they look at you like, I'd be like, well, I'm
Right.
sorry, you're having a bad day, but all right, you
Yeah.
know, moving on.
And I'll
I
kind of
don't
go back
see
to like one person can spoil it for the whole group, right? So like one person comes
Everyone.
here, right? And they're from the mainland and they, let's say they just don't care. They're rude, you know, they're ignorant, and they come to Hawaii and they act a fool, right? And then they go back and then all the people in Hawaii are like, oh, all the people
Of
from the
course.
mainland are just ignorant.
That's
and-
like a military example right
Yeah.
there.
Of
Right.
course,
A
yeah,
bunch of
yeah,
fucking
yeah.
19-year-old kids that come
Yeah.
out.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like
Exactly.
that's what kind of hurts that as well, is that, you know, we have this one image that people talk about, but that's not really for everybody who comes down here. Right? That's
Exactly. And so, but that comes down to just like, even though you might not agree with how somebody is or what they're doing, that doesn't mean that you can judge a whole culture based off of that one person. Everybody needs to take accountability for their individual actions. And that was that individual person's response to that action. It's not the whole bunch. So
But when
let's
that's
just
repeated
stop
among
that
the
there.
same people in a certain group, you can start
But
to
it's not
make
just one
accusations
public-
against the culture.
If that's what you want to do, I'm not doing that. That's not how I roll. Everybody individually has their own standing with me. Until that up,
you disqualify yourself. Yeah.
I ain't
What if
got nothing against you. I don't
Yeah.
care about what you're doing, what
But
you're
it's
like.
different
I
people
don't.
in the same organization that are making the same mistake. Wouldn't you start to make questions about that
That's
organization?
what it is. It's because there's a lot of that towards military people because a lot of them, and you know it, be doing it a lot.
I get that,
And so a lot of
And
them,
they're young kids
a
mostly.
lot of them are black people.
but I'm not.
So that's like a little
Sure.
thing that they get is, oh, military people are this kind of way because so many of them act the fool
I get
and
that.
they give it a bad name. And so that gets attached to all black people because they only think you're here because you're in the military.
No,
That's
I'm not
it.
even saying
Well,
black
it's-
people.
yeah,
I'm
it goes
saying
hand in
military
hand.
culture.
But that's-
Talking about
that's
everyone,
certain-
even white boys.
But
like,
especially,
Yeah, there's
yeah.
white people that come here and do the same thing.
mhm.
But
Right.
there's so many that they're gonna attach it to those people, even if it was 5 of them, 5 out of 10. That's still a lot. So now all of you are like that because there's
Yep.
too many that showed me the bad apple. You know,
Nah, it's a stereotype
bad
now.
apple ruins the bunch.
I understand
Yeah.
that
Shouldn't be that
that's
way.
common perspective, but what I'm saying is that just needs to die
It
It
does.
does.
because people can't hold accountability to that one person, and because that's all that deserves it. And even if it was 20 people, it's just those 20 people who did it. There are so many black people on this earth, and most
But
of
that's
them,
how they build the
Can you imagine
stereotype.
if you only met
That's where it starts from.
those 20
Yeah.
people?
Again,
Yeah,
if they're
that's the
part of the same
stereotype.
organization
Not
and you
everyone
see
comes around, if
the
that's all you
same
get,
toxic behavior,
but
it's
that-
a lot.
but
You're
if
gonna
that's
assume
your
that.
box that you want to live in, that's okay.
But that doesn't mean they live in a box. Not everyone.
no,
does
systems
the
can be
same.
corrupt.
You're only gonna
That's what
meet
I'm
so
arguing.
many people.
Oh,
You know?
I get it.
Like, come on.
I get it, but I still just
That's
don't
you.
agree. It's okay.
That's fine.
It's fine.
We all don't agree, and I think that's where, and it's good to have these kind of conversations.
Now I'm out.
There,
It's
right?
not-
Yeah.
It's not fine, but yeah.
It's healthy, put it like that.
So another thing that I
Super
wanted
healthy.
to bring up as well is that, even growing up here in Hawaii, and once again, this is from my perspective as an Asian American, grew up in Hawaii, even within our culture, and this goes to like how you portray yourself, what your image is that you put out there in the world, right? So I know in the last video we touched on this about like how you go into the workplace and being African American, you got to go in and put your white face on, right, to help people.
Dude, I don't think you said white.
Say white
He
face.
talked about.
White
Wait.
Ooh, that boy say white
He
face.
said
I like
it's
that.
a suit.
It's the
Yeah,
suit.
it's a suit. It's a suit. Yeah, but white
I
face. I
told him
like
about
that.
the suit,
The
y'all.
white
Black
face.
folks tell me
Yeah.
that. Just give him a pass. This is
Right.
Yeah,
I
you
love
get a
it.
pass.
What suit? What? I missed.
So-
it.
You totally
talking
missed it,
about,
but it was
you know,
hilarious.
My white fragility says
It
that
was
it should be
hilarious.
the socially acceptable suit.
Okay.
Socially
Socially
acceptable.
acceptable.
I agree.
Alright, Okay.
What do you mean putting on a suit?
Hashtag
Like acting?
white
You have to
suit.
act a certain way.
You know, work bitch.
That don't mean.
So,
Okay,
so
I
what
get it.
wanted-
You
so
know
what I
what I
wanted to bring up with this,
Yeah.
right? So this being from an Asian American culture, so like I feel like we get raised in a more, I think we get pressures put on you from your family and your culture, right? So you have those kind of pressures versus
We
somebody
do
who
too.
grows up,
No, yeah, I was about to say that's universal there. Shit.
right? I mean, so
I got my
Yeah,
ass
but-
whooped since
So when you
elementary.
grow up-
I think Asians want.
You
But-
can't compare these degrees
But do you
because
guys
it's
are more
fucking media
scared, I guess,
interpretation.
of your parents? They're
No,
more
it's like
scared.
black people aren't scared of their parents. No, I think
we are
it's-
scared, but it's
No, but I think for
because I know I
you
am.
know we know
Relax.
we know
So-
Relax,
some of
Mom.
we know some of
Just
the
kidding.
culture of Asian people, and you know
Yes, very
that
strict.
they are very strict.
But we're raised in an
especially-
Asian way.
but not everyone's been that. We have that
Can you
privilege.
guys expound on what you mean by strictness? Like, in what way are they strict?
Like for ones that I know, it's very family and honor, and you have to, you are us, and you're putting, if you
Everything
You
that
have
you
to
do
do
is a
it a certain
reflection
way.
of
You
your
should be
family.
great.
And that's different from how you were
But
raised.
let's Asian.
not for
Well,
us
great
so
thing.
much because we had a lot of the Asian culture integrated with
And
our
influence
lives.
with the black.
But let Greg
Yeah,
finish.
let him
Oh, no, no,
finish.
no. So I'm just not even joking me, but like in a stereotypical way, right? We see all these things like, in the Asian culture, your family's like, oh, don't dishonor your family. You got to get good grades. When you get older, you got to act a certain way. And I know that's not only in Asian culture. I get that. But so my
Yeah.
point being is, so you get onto the workplace and then you have these societal pressures as well, right? You have to be this way in your type of job, or you have to be this type of person, or you have to put that out there, even though it's not who truly you are, right? So
Yeah.
That's
Some
10
mold.
times 10.
correct. So in Hawaii, or at least, so this is my perspective, right? So just as an Asian American growing up here, like I feel like, well, luckily I didn't have to deal with that, but I know a lot of my friends did, right? You got to get good grades. You got to make sure you plan your career now. Save your money
Yeah.
now. You got to be this way now. When you get out there, you got to be this way. You got to act this way, right? And I feel like on the flip side of that, though, like what I learned or what I saw getting out there and being friends with people who are from different cultures, like it's not just like Asian Americans. So this is my point that I'm getting to, right? Is that it's not just Asian Americans that have to deal with that pressure from your family, but a lot of people have to deal with that from society. Like, so what I wanted to tie in is like being African American, you're almost having to do that on a social level, having to kind of close all that off, being who you are and putting on this face to even try to get by and succeed.
to make other people comfortable.
Exactly.
On a macro
Just to-
level versus a
but
micro
Just to
level.
make other
Just to
people
make
Your
people
family
comfortable.
and everybody else.
Correct. So, everybody I feel like is suffering from these kind of things. So I feel like what I wanted to point out is that I know we were kind of discussing about like solutions for the future, about like how we get over all of this, like where we are as a country. And I feel like, and I know shout out to Mama Bells that, about mental health, because what I really wanted to bring up is that we need to teach our kids that no matter what, you are who you are, and that needs to be taught from a younger age. You know, no matter if you're
Agreed.
Asian, if you're African American,
Yes.
Latino, if you're white, whoever, you can be who you want to be true to yourself. And I feel like if you teach that mental health at an early age, it doesn't matter about the labels anymore. You can call me a fag, you can call me a Jap, a chink, or whatever, but I know who I am, right? And luckily, I learned that from my family,
Go for it.
right?
No,
Hell
that's
yeah.
it. Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Speak your truth.
I
Yeah.
feel you're talking about confidence, though, and I feel there should be humility within that confidence.
Correct.
Well, I mean, but
Being confident is humility. I think
is
you have to have both to be confident, like a truly confident person, because
it's
nothing should really matter. Like,
Well, nothing anyone
should-
says about you
right?
should matter.
should matter. Like, you should know within yourself, like, as a being, you should love you.
Yeah.
And nothing that anyone could say out of their mouths, no matter what it is, should affect how you feel about yourself.
So confidence is
Period.
knowing why people shouldn't love you.
Confidence
building
True.
upon that.
confidence is not. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, really. I mean, not. You know, not to say that. You know, it's
Versus
like,
cockiness
of no
or something
regard.
like that.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah. Not to say it's
Not
like no
being
regard,
cocky.
but
If
you
you're
know,
confident, you don't have
but
to
you know,
be cocky.
yeah, you have peace
People
with yourself.
see it.
You're like, yeah,
It
that's
oozes through your skin. They
That's
can't
your
help
point
it.
where humility mixes in.
Correct,
Of
because
course.
because you're not even concerned with it. Other
Yeah, you
people
got
are
peace.
more concerned with everything about you than you are.
exactly.
That's what
So-
being confident is.
So this
Because
is
I
why-
don't give a about
So
me.
confidence includes building upon your flaws, because humility has to do
Self-knowledge
with
is the
identifying your
foundation.
flaws.
Yes,
Yeah.
This is like a whole other topic.
you have to own it.
Yeah.
Own,
Oh, yeah.
own
We
all
went
of
way
it.
left.
That's what it's
Own
about.
Your wrinkles and your
No, but yeah.
fucking corners, and you don't have
All
to
that.
dress
Own it.
anyway. You don't
That's-
have to, like, material things don't define who you are.
At all.
You
And
should
nobody
ooze
else
it through your
defines it
fucking
either.
skin. They should be able to
All of
see you
it's-
walking through the door.
All
Love
of
it.
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
So, like, I
That
feel
was a
like
message.
people-
Message.
Yeah, that was just a little drop though. That was the gem. That was
Stamp.
That was a message. That's why we went off track, because we needed
true.
to say it.
True. That's true.
It
That's
was
true.
a message for the people.
Yeah.
Message.
Message.
So
Well, and I think we need to learn humility as a culture.
correct.
Oh,
sure.
of course. Of course.
We've
I mean,
focused so
that's
much on
something that you have
on an
cockiness.
individual level. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you
those
have
are
to
the
work
basics.
for that every day.
Yeah.
That's something you work towards every day.
Mm-hmm.
You'll always have your moments where your ego might outweigh yours. Come on. You'll have it, but it's up
Sometimes
to
we're
you
wrong.
to be strong enough to bring it to
Most times.
You
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta learn to calm down and relax.
gotta be like,
You're doing a
ooh,
lot.
you're doing too much. Relax, girl. Calm down. Handle your
But
shit.
that's why a lot of people think being confident is like people being cocky. Like you gotta be cocky.
Or you're too
'Cause some
direct.
people
Yeah,
don't
they
know
think it
how
go
to
hand
be
in
like,
hand.
hey,
Confused.
I need to
Yeah.
calm down. I'm doing a lot.
Yeah.
They be like, whatever, I'm it. You could be it and relax.
Yeah,
Yeah, like you can chill too.
no one
Yeah.
cares. I don't give a fuck.
You care. Because then
You care
then
if
you
you're
went
thinking
into a
about
whole
that.
different level.
Yeah.
Like you passed.
Like,
you
what?
failed. You went too
I have to
far.
like you for me to care, like,
But then I still don't
about,
care.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
level.
It's
like,
fun
I
to be
wanna-
cocky
I like
sometimes,
contact.
I need
It's just fun to be cocky.
But
I mean,
that's
when you
good.
cocky, you
Yeah, you
don't
can give
care.
it to
You
me,
know.
but
I'm willing
So what I
to
will say is that I
I'm
think
gonna
you
do
need to
what I-
draw the distinction between that. I don't like to use the word confident. I like more self-respect, self-love,
Mm.
right? That starts within yourself. So to me,
Mm-hmm.
if you have that self-awareness and that respect
Self-awareness.
other people, right? To Rocco's point, having humility, right? But I think
Yes.
that starts within yourself, not outside, right? It
Oh,
starts within
definitely.
yourself. And then it goes out
Mhm.
to like how you view other
Correct.
people, other cultures,
Correct.
right? And respect. And I think
That's
that's
all it is.
taught. That's the thing that I think needs to be concentrated on. I feel like people should go to a psychiatrist or psychologist from an early age to help you develop that, because not everybody gets blessed to have these things instilled with you in your home, right? So let's say you grow up in a home that is ultra, and I hate to use this, ultra racist or very entitled, right? They're not teaching you
Yeah.
these values, right?
Oppressive.
Your future generations go out in the world thinking, oh yeah, I don't care about anybody else but myself. I am the only one who matters here, right? But I feel like if you instill that at an early age, I feel like that's what's going to start changing our culture, and that's what's going to start getting rid of racism and entitlement, and really like make sure that everybody starts working together and not viewing each other as different.
True.
Sorry, Rocco.
So, well, mental health, yeah. We have this idea where you go see a psychiatrist and you work on the shit you need to work on and everything gets better. But the idea of like seeing a psychiatrist, there has to be a certain understanding within that psychiatrist. There has to be a bonding with that person.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people see one or two people and they dismiss psychiatry or psychology as an understanding.
You know,
And you have to understand that you have to find the right person that you want to talk to build upon these issues.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to fucking give up what truths or untruths you're holding on to unless you have somebody you can talk to that you trust. And a lot of people need to understand that this is a building process and that when you're seeing someone, that's not the end result. You have to see multiple people until you feel that comfort.
Yes.
True.
But that's
Are you guys
something that
seeing
they
anybody?
should be pushing out in their industry, don't you think? Like, that should be known. That
Well, it is
people
known.
like just I don't think
Wait,
that
wait,
people
wait,
push
wait.
it out
How
there.
do you sell that? Like I may not be the
Yeah, I
end
don't
all
think
be
that's-
all.
that's-
Try me out.
I know, but like maybe like.
But they don't make it like they're not out there. It's just a lot of people
But even the
feel
psychiatrist
some
should
type of
say
way
that
about
to
having to talk to
the
one.
patient.
Exactly. Yeah.
I
It's
think
like
they should be
the-
required to say something like that. Like,
but you know how we
the
view, like people view, they judge,
you
like
have a
to be
certain
associated.
period
with
of
that.
time with the psychologist, and he doesn't feel like you're able to release, or you guys don't get that kind of. He should be able to be like, you have to understand that I'm not the only one here. I do have other people, blah, blah, blah. But I think a good psychologist would do that.
Is anyone here seeing
No.
a psychologist or anything like that?
Oh yeah.
Is that the right word? I don't know if that's the right word.
Psychiatrist.
Psychiatrist, psychologist, it just
Psychologist
depends.
is a doctor, yeah.
No, who's
Yeah.
a spiritual teacher in Hawaii?
Well, Kahu, and that's me as well. I've seen
Kahu.
Kahu. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I actually really enjoyed that because I would say that I'm more spiritual than religious, and it's good to have somebody who can help you on that path, especially if you're trying to learn more about yourself and other things. And
Self-awareness, you were saying.
yeah, so
Correct.
he has his degree and his background is in psychology, but he also, is a Kahu. So it's good that he could tie those two things together because I could talk about myself as a person as well as myself as a spiritual being. This is getting like hella deep, but
Yeah.
No, hey.
That's the good
No,
stuff.
that's okay.
Yeah.
That's
So-
what we're here to talk about.
So I mean,
That's
Hold
what I
on.
want to bring. Wait, Greg, let me say something. That's what I want to bring back. That's the purpose of it's a conversation. It's us friends. We're talking, and it's okay to be vulnerable sometimes and have conversations and debates with your friends. Come on, people.
I know.
Sorry, Greg. There you go.
No. So I mean, I guess that's why I'm such a huge advocate of mental health and trying to break down that stigma of if you go see a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a kahu or a priest, that you need help or there's something wrong with you. Because maybe there is something wrong with you. But sometimes it's hard to get through that by yourself. And sometimes, like, even for myself, like, I'm too in my head sometimes.
There's nothing wrong with being broken.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I feel like...
And that's what people don't get. Well, it's really hard to develop that understanding within yourself. That's a battle of self right there. That is a hard battle that you have to go
Humility.
Mhm.
Yes, you have to.
Yeah, but just because you're broken don't mean you
I'm
can't
not
be
perfect.
healed. Like it don't matter
No,
what you
true.
go
That,
through.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the
Yeah.
thing.
That.
Yeah,
But
so-
wallowing in your brokenness doesn't do anything for you either.
Mhm.
It
It's
doesn't.
hard.
It'd be hard.
But that's the
Exactly.
psychological
Like,
part
you're
of it
in
right
that
there.
Is what you do. Is
You got to take a step.
you
though.
got to just keep taking small steps, and those small steps are golden. Remember that.
It's a
Making
daily
those
commitment.
steps,
Yeah.
It's so hard to do. So celebrate each one. Okay?
And that's why finding psychological help is just a baby step process. You go from one to
Of
one
course.
to one till you find somebody
Of
you're
course.
comfortable with. And then, Greg, you have a Kahu
Well, not
that you're
even.
comfortable with, yeah?
Honestly, you should. I mean, the goal should be to seek, and you should seek psychological independence. You should be able to ultimately deal with any situation by yourself. That's the ultimate goal. That's why you initially go is because you can't. But you seek, the tools to be able to unlock these keys yourself. So that ultimately you can deal with that yourself. I just say that. But go ahead.
Yeah.
Student becomes a teacher.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, because I've never been to therapy, but I've found it in myself to be able to pull myself from that place or feeling broken and pull, just getting myself up just to make one step and just getting there. Because I'm not one that likes to share things with people, and sometimes you need to. But I was lucky enough to have people to do that with. That I trust and that actually give me that feedback that you would probably get from going to therapy. But
that's why I'm curious. I want to see what that's like.
I think that's with teaching though, from our parents, how they raised us. I think that's why, and I know not everybody has that.
Exactly.
But parents do need to make it. It is a thing in the Black culture that going to therapy means you're weak.
I mean, it's just something.
That's a good point. Yeah, going to therapy because you're weak.
Like
yeah.
you need therapy,
It's
you're broken, you're weak, there's something wrong with you, and that's bad. So you take that as, well, I can't look that way because I'm supposed to be this.
Yeah.
So I'm not going
That's why I want to know.
I can't be associated with that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
It just needs to not have that stigma attached to it anymore,
Yeah.
especially in the Black community, because that's a real big thing. And a lot of people would benefit from therapy.
Exactly.
A lot of them would, because they don't have that person to talk to. That's why they are how they are.
Yeah.
They don't have someone to let it out to, and they should know that it's okay to find someone to speak to.
Well,
it doesn't make you any less,
I from a different perspective, I'm not a person that would just talk to anyone. I'm not going to anyone that I don't know because I'm not going to feel comfortable with you. It takes me a very long time to feel very comfortable with a person, to let them in, even just on the surface of me. So I would so the people like me, I want to express to you, it is okay. It has taken me so long to be able to be a person to say things out loud and just own myself,
But you're not seeing anybody.
No, I've never seen anyone. I've done it myself because I'm prideful when it comes to me.
You were provided the tools to be able to come out of it yourself.
Yes. When I get to that place, I know what to do. I know what steps to take because I have lots of practice, So it doesnent really take too long. But even for someone like me, I went to see a therapist and I really enjoyed it. She treated me with respect. She talked to me like just someone. She didn't make it feel uncomfortable because I was I'm not the type of person to just tell you anything. So it was a surreal situation. So I would say try it. Even if you're very apprehensive, I think it just brings value. I like to see how other people see me and view me.
Would you still like to see somebody?
Yeah, I would. I have
What's
no
preventing
problem.
you?
Because I have so many people to talk to. I never feel like I have to or I need to express myself in another way. I will say exactly
so
how I feel.
So there's a certain limitation within that.
All times.
No, because a psychologist is for distress, in most situations, you know what I mean? I mean, of course it can be for therapy as well, But you know,
Yeah, I talk to myself. I talk to my sister.
Yeah.
I talk to my mom every
But
day.
that's the thing is you have
You
the
know,
That's a
like,
very included perspective.
Well,
And that's from SMaLLSTaLK's perspective of it. Though.
yeah, that's just me. Like, and I can't change the fact that that's what it is. But that's how I
But
am.
you can give value in understanding the outsider's perspective, no?
Of course. Because
Always.
I
could
would
see where
say
it
do
would
it.
be, I could see where, like, I've never done it and I don't have the desire to do it. But I do see the benefits in it for, if I needed it,
I would go.
I would go.
Like, if I felt like I couldn't
it would
check
take me a
myself.
lot to do it
Yeah.
because, you know, that's just a lot.
And
But
that's the first
I
step.
do see the benefits of it. But I feel like I have the outlets. I feel like people who go to therapy really don't have that person or someone that they can just let it out to and just, you know, them not judge them. But like I have that at home, you know?
So I will
So I
say,
don't
So
feel the
Greg,
need to
have you ever
go
felt that
outside.
you don't need a kahu, but like that you have provided benefits by having one?
so yeah,
What's a kahu?
yeah.
is-
So a kahu
Yeah,
is
you
like
got
a
it.
kahuna, so like a spiritual
Oh.
leader or a spiritual guidance person, right?
Oh,
And I feel like somebody who has gone to see a psychiatrist and a kahu, and I feel like I'm very self-aware of myself. I'm very, I have a lot of respect for different people, but I feel like why I choose to go and seek not even help, but just guidance with anything, right? Either psychological or spiritual, is that I feel like I maybe at a point where I feel I'm good, but maybe I'm still missing something. So I still feel like I want to be open to having suggestions or processes or things that could help me be better than what I am now, even though I don't see that, right? So that's the only reason that I like to kind of go and still continue to go, is because, like, even though I don't feel like I need it like exactly right now, I feel like I'll learn something and I'll be like, oh shoot, I didn't see it that way. But these people have that kind of background to help you gain knowledge, right? And I feel like that's the reason why I like I like continuing to go to these kind of people to get help, quote unquote, right? Or just to learn more about myself.
Yeah.
And
Continuing education.
Correct.
It's like
Yeah.
fucking-
well, yeah, because I mean, life is experience. So you know, whether you expose yourself to good or bad, everything you go through, you're gonna learn from it. So
the lesson,
you
right?
know, yeah. So you just surround yourself with good, you know, and that's what you soak up. That's what you reap. That's what, you know, like I say, reap what you sow.
What was that?
Good point.
I'll hear that noise.
It was good, though.
Yeah, I was
It
like,
was
wait,
good.
what?
right. It was right on time. It was like, get your life together.
All right, make sure to like, comment, and
So even if
subscribe.
you don't know you need it, you can get it. And
Exactly.
that's what
Yeah.
continuing it is about.
And if you don't feel
Exactly.
like you need it, just try it. You never
Whether
know.
it's a kahu or a
Yeah, you never
psychologist
know.
or whatever.
Yo,
Because
yeah,
I
like
went,
you
I
always,
went
always
and like
learn.
I would go back.
I'll
But
ask-
like she was
I've
really
looked
nice.
into it. I can't, like, I want to afford it. I think everyone should have access to that.
Correct.
Yeah.
That too.
It's a
that
funny
too.
thing.
Something in the schools, maybe that would be a good idea.
Mhm.
Having I know they have counselors, but the counselors are not really available to all the students when they
The
need
counselors
them.
in schools.
Because
No,
they've always-
Even if
Oh,
they're a
well.
well-intentioned person, they're not necessarily fit for that.
I mean, really.
And
Correct.
as being
Just
an
like the
adult,
therapist,
All they
having
do is
somebody-
come in there and
So
give
for
you
the
fake
kids-
promises of what you can be when after you graduate. Like,
No,
Yeah.
I had a friend looking for a specific psychologist, and she had certain parameters that had to be met within seeing that person to begin with. So I reached out to my friend who was a psychologist, but was definitely not within those parameters, and was saying, "Hey, this is what she's looking for. Is there any way to like meet her needs?" And she gave her a list of people that were within those parameters. Like, people need to understand that mental health is not an issue, and that if you have problems, you have demands, and you need to request those demands in order to meet your needs.
Yes.
of course.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
I don't think we
hashtag
understand
not
that though as a whole.
But there are websites
No,
in your area, like there's psychology.com, that in your area you can actually look to see what psychiatrists or psychologists are available, and it has a brief bio of each person, right? So you can kind of read through, and of course it's all on paper, and you have to go in person to see if you are comfortable with them. But I would recommend, you know, kind of going to those kind of things to weed out or try to find the person who you might think is more suitable to Rocco's point, to what you're looking for.
You reminded me of privilege. So to get to privilege, I had a certain access to information that helped this person out. And oh, that's funny. Sorry,
that's true. Not everybody has that kind of privilege to have that kind of access, but to Rocco's point.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it in the description box below, so you'll have access to that site, so that you guys can go and view that, see what the benefits are of looking at and having this capability and what's in your town or your city, because it's something important that we as a community need to understand. So make that phone call, click on that link. We're gonna go ahead and end this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed our content this evening. And we can't wait to see you back again on the Value of Conversation.